before
Absolutely.
our eyes. So you're there in Atlanta, where certainly there was a recent incident with Rashard Brooks. We've been absorbing everything that's been happening in the country up until this moment. So how are you kind of handling all of this emotionally right now?
Man, as an American, it's hard because it's just it's a growing pain of sorts. You know what I mean? We know that our country is progressing. We know that on the other side of that progression, that we all are going to be better. I think our community and people who are essentially descendants of the cornerstone of this nation, and the cornerstone of this nation is the Constitution is important, the founding fathers was important, but free labor allowed all that to stand. And as the descendant of a slave, and then when I say descendant, I don't mean anything long. My great grandmother taught me how to sew a button on a shirt as she was sewing blankets that we still use in my house. Her mother was born enslaved. So that's how close slavery is. I know how to sew a button because a slave taught her child to, and that child taught me to. That's how close. So I think that I'm excited that progress is happening, but I know on the other side of that progression, Breonna, Mr. Floyd, brother that was killed here, there are martyrs, and we've long been martyrs for the progression of this country. And I hope that as we enter into another martyrdom, another black person has died at the hands of the state. I hope that we enter this coming out determined to see justice on the front end, and not only when we're angry. I hope that coming out of this, the young people that are in the streets organizing continue to organize in the time of peace, like they are in time of war, because they're organizing effectively. They're causing systemic change in the immediate and not some protracted campaign. And I support that. And plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. And as long as you keep doing that, you're going to capitalize off the gains that you're making. And I appreciate, and I don't mean capitalize in a monetary way. I mean, these kids are capitalizing, progressing. Organizers on the ground level who've been working for years to campaign around police brutality and violence have, in an instant, been able to organize people to progress law.
Yeah, it's been a lot of impressive moments. I mean, you mentioned about how the young people, they're so organized. Because I think about the progression from, say, Ferguson to now, and it's been pretty
Yeah,
outstanding when you think about
absolutely.
it. What has impressed you the most about what you're seeing right now?
What has impressed me that
Mhm.
in '92 we rioted in Atlanta. There were riots in other cities. There were riots in Los Angeles. But there was such a stronghold on information. Local news wouldn't let what other cities know until after it was over. What's impressed me is the ability to use technology. We haven't gotten as efficient as Hong Kong, but it's coming. You are seeing at a day and age where in an instant people are able to mob on a place, people are able to say what needs to be said and go and get ghosts. You're seeing in an instant what our grandparents were able to do. Like we have a house party app in which people can sit down on that house party app. You can organize with those 8 people to know what are we going to do in school, what are we going to do in local school boards, what are we going to do with city council. Our grandparents used to have to do that in the basement. Now you're able to do it over your phones and organize effectively and immediately. So I'm impressed by the level of organization I've seen. Because when I was an organizer at 15, 16 years old, we'd have to literally meet for 30 days to plan something that you might strike that might be 3 hours or even 30 minutes, but you're constantly there. These kids are able to do it, and these young people and these organizers are able to do it in a blink of an eye. But that only happens when you train like Floyd Mayweather. Organizers are like Mayweather. They never not training, and I think that these are the people again that we should be looking to follow in these times.
But you dropped the mention of the House Party app. Mike, are you on House Party? You use it?
I just found out about it. I got the cool people in my life helped me to what's new. The two apps I'm most interested in right now are House Party, and there's an app called Combos that allows me to speak directly back and forth with people. That's a lot cooler than sometimes Twitter where stuff gets lost in translation. But I'm still over there tweeting with the angry moms and dads. Shouts out to the old folks.
I think about where activism was on this issue in particular when Ferguson happened, and looking at it now, and it's while there was definitely a lot of positives that came out of Ferguson, particularly the Black Lives Matter movement. Seeing the level and the difference is that clearly there was a lot of lessons learned there, and they've
Yeah.
applied them now. And so there, it definitely seems much more cohesive, and that's been impressive. What has impressed you about what you're seeing, especially from these young people who really have seemed to seize this moment?
What I've seen be most beautiful about this time is kids have the ability to adjust and move and be like water. They're truly plotting, planning, strategizing, organizing, mobilizing. The skateboard kids came in. Usually you would see in the 60s, black people look like me. We'd make public protests. We'd get our heads split open. Sympathetic whites and allies and people who truly believe in freedom, justice, and equality entered the stage. Now, not only are you beating black people, you're dragging off white people. Like, and it became a tapestry, a unified front to give us our most basic civil rights and acknowledge our human rights. That tapestry is happening again, and it's happening in a bigger and better way. I was talking about those skateboard kids. I saw those kids first come in as defenders. When police were hacking with people with batons, they held up the skateboards to protect them. Most kids who skateboard, my kids skateboard, most skateboard kids in South don't look like me, right? But I saw the skateboard community literally come in and save protesters from beatings, and then they got really frisky and they started attacking back. And I was, I don't want violence in the streets because those kids deserve to grow to be adults without being soldiers against the state that their parents pay taxes to. It impressed me that the proletariat showed government that you work for us. And in this moment, we are exercising our right to make public display of the evil that has happened. It makes me proud that I live in a country that has long promised equality, rarely given it to people who look like me. People who don't look like me defend it.
You made an interesting note and observation about the skateboard crew. And I think anybody who's watching has noticed that it's not just black people who are out here
No,
protesting. Like
it's
this
not.
is,
It's a tapestry of people.
it's a tapestry of
The,
people,
the
correct? I mean,
Amish, the Amish.
yeah, yeah. Wasn't that
I didn't
crazy to
even know
see?
the Amish saw the news.
I was thinking, who told them? Right?
Yeah.
I was like, how did
I was,
right?
I was,
So
I was so impressed though. I was so
yeah,
thankful. My heart was
very
filled with
impressive.
joy.
Yeah, so you're seeing all these different types of people that you never thought this issue would resonate with them. It kind of reminds me of your music. Your music is unapologetically pro-black, unapologetically,
Yes,
right? But
absolutely,
yet, when
absolutely.
you look at a Killer Mike fan, it's across multicultural section of
Yeah,
people. Why do you think your music is able to resonate that way, despite the fact that you are also clearly talking to your people?
yeah. I'm proud to be me. I like me. I like black people. I'm I'm not making no excuses. I'm not making no apologies coming in the door. I love us. I am in love with us. And because I love me, it has nothing to do or affecting my love of others. I have a very good friendship with East Indian cousins, Raj and Neil. They own the store right next to Walters on what's happening. So if you're from Atlanta, you know about Walters. If you're a big guy from Atlanta, you know about, the store right next door. These guys have always just been good to me. Raj went to India. He came back, brought my wife incense, these beautiful little elephant characters. He's proud to be Indian. I've learned about being Indian from my Indian friends. When you're truly who you are, how could you be offended? How could you not love it or like it? Like, man, I'm a part of the original people on earth. I'm from the continent that birthed all humanity. I think when you wear that proudly and unapologetically, and not from a place of needing someone to be below you, there's no reason for a people not to like me. I like you. I got plenty of heroes that don't look like me. There's a portrait of John Brown on my wall in my basement. I thought he's a hero. He doesn't have to look like me. You know what I mean? But I refuse to act like people who look like me aren't great. I didn't say good. I didn't say good enough. I didn't say equal. I said great. I'm from a great and mighty people. And if you can't accept that, then maybe I'm not for you. But I believe that because I am simply who I am, I believe that that gets accepted. Because you know what? I remember being on a tour bus, and I'm on there with a bunch of Northeasterners because of course, my rap partner's a white guy from Brooklyn. And we're on there and they're watching Swamp People, and everybody's laughing. And I come up and stagger into the front, and I look at it and I start smiling, and I look at the room and say, I got more in common with them than any of y'all. And I just walk to the back. Now, because it's the truth. I'm a Southern boy. My grandparents from Alabama and rural Georgia. I grew up more like people on those shows. So I think across cultural lines and across racial lines, people identify with me, but just because I'm your typical American guy. And I have some special things. I'm not going to deny that I'm special. I was a smart kid, went to Morehouse, had an understanding of some cool stuff. I married a beautiful woman, that helps. But I think that ultimately what resonates with people is that I'm a regular guy. One of my best friends in the world is a white guy from Brooklyn. So I think that people understand that I have the ability not to look past your race or ethnicity, not to look past who you are culturally, but to look at it and love it and learn from it without wanting to co-opt it or be it.
What you're talking about, in a very succinct and robust way, is really allyship, and that's been a
Absolutely.
word that, yeah, you have a lot of. It sounds like you have a lot of really great allies that are in your life. Now, in this moment, I've gotten the question constantly. I assume you have too, about how to be an ally. What do I have to do? Right? I've had so many conversations with white people, like really good friends of mine, in the last
Yeah.
2 weeks, where, all right, guys, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but
Yeah, but hold on. Hold on.
hold on a second, just relax. But
Absolutely. I,
with that, nevertheless, that being said, is that, what would you say to somebody who wants to not only be an ally but be a good ally?
you want to be a good ally in this moment, white corporation, white person with the means, that's a worthy allyship. On a ground level, if you're just working hard every week, you don't know what to do, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, grab one young man who doesn't look like you, a young woman, and teach them that trade. That's allyship. Allyship isn't just throwing the money, but if you got the big money, put it towards somewhere. But on a very real and basic level, my son had an accident with a man named Keith. I bought my son a car. My son Malik, with a very pretty girl in the front seat, rear-ended this guy. Uh, Calls me. I pull up to Keith and the police officer. I say if he'll allow me to handle this privately, I just don't want to call my insurance company because I had just got in an accident. I drive fast. My son Keith, in good faith, gave me the opportunity to do that, and me and this man became friends. I'm literally friends with this white man who told me about Atlanta pre-white flight and desegregation, who's taught me about fatherhood and the importance of presence in your child's life. That doesn't happen if we're not open for it to happen. So an allyship with white people doesn't have to be an organization of saving the world. But you do have to do what me and Keith did. You do have to, on blind faith, trust someone who doesn't look like you and allow that person to educate you. So an allyship is not just calling your black friend saying what I do. It's going to black organizations that might be local and saying, what am I doing? It's calling your friend and saying, what's the next thing you're doing? And I want to be an extra set of hands. Doesn't mean you get to go to the black people meeting, but it does mean that they say, I'm going to feed people on Skid Row. You show up. And you show up with empathy and care, and you do it. And I'm going to tell you, we need doctors in that space. We need lawyers in that space. We need legislators in that space. We need the people who are really empowered to be in that space, because there's some things that need to happen on ground level that once the grassroots people have gotten it here, there needs to be money put behind these things. A lot of the problems that we have now that are erupting could have been solved in 96, 2006, 2016, and all these other years, but we chose not to because we trusted the right thing's going to happen. Right thing's not going to happen unless we make it. And after that, you have the potential to truly be brothers and sisters. You have the potential to be past the letting cultural, national, religious markers evict the fact that I know that I'm talking and I'm with a human being, and at our very core, past any physical difference, my job is to honor the soul of that other human being. So there's no need to have allies because I'm not at war. I truly have a brother and sister. There's no need to have an ally because there's no threat of war. I refuse to send any 18-year-old boy or girl off to die. And that has to be something that's much, much deeper than policy, much, much deeper than the human condition in the last 500 years. We have to get back to that. So that's my humble opinion. I don't know, where that takes white America, but I hope we stay standing up, fighting together.
Mike, we've been having this great conversation, and a lot of people watching, they probably want to know, because again, these things happen in flashes where 1 minute we're talking about this, everybody's fired up, everybody's willing to do
Yeah,
things, and then the next minute, the momentum dies. So how can the people who
yeah.
are watching now, how can they keep this conversation, this action, this momentum going?
Take this conversation, get 8 to 10 people, around you, your neighbors and people who live within 10 square miles, and start to see what you can do to affect. And then connect with other people that may be in closer proximity, 30, 40, 50 miles, even another city or places that are doing it right, or that are doing it right in other places. Connect with those people and just, you know, if all of us do a little bit, no one has to do a lot. If all of us do a little, if all of us pick a little to do, no one will have to do a lot.
That's a word right there. If we all do a little bit, nobody has to do a lot.
Has to do a lot,
Um,
absolutely.
Nobody has to do a lot. Mike, I have enjoyed this conversation like I enjoy every conversation with you. I can
You know, I
certainly
love
talk
you.
to you. Yes, it is mutual. The mutual respect
Absolutely,
and love of society right here. Thank you,
absolutely.
and more importantly, thank you for everything you do on the ground. I mean, so many people, a lot of people during and understand.